Hey, we're back.
Bonjour.
Did you miss us?
We missed you.
Well, we were off last week due to some unforeseen circumstances. You care to explain?
Oh gosh, I suppose. So, went down to Elliott Lake to see Aaron's parents. Whatever, spent a long weekend. Good weekend, all in all. So, driving back Monday, we decided to try and take a scenic route. Followed Google Maps and went down some shitty back road, with good old stubbornness. Just kept going on this crappy back road. Busted my oil pan. Left the car in the bush. We had to get a ride out. Went back in, got the car, replaced the oil pan. Turned out the engine was blowing or about to blow. So, anyways, that took until Wednesday. So I left Friday from here and then didn't get back till Wednesday night. So yeah, had to catch up on work and stuff. So sorry, guys. But so this is a perfect example of how technology mixed with human stupidity can get you into trouble. And we were actually having a conversation about technology in cars. Like I was using Google Maps on my phone, but we were having that kind of conversation about putting Android into a car or whatever. I test drove a car yesterday, right? Because no more car. It had this little 8-inch screen in it. Sam says it's too much there. He doesn't want it. Whatever. You can control the climate. It's the radio.
Does it even have a GPS on it?
Well, it does, but the thing is, it's hooked up to an app that doesn't work in Timmins. So the weather the weather works. It tells you what's outside, but I guess if you're in the States or maybe down south, it'll tell you the temperature and traffic and all that, but it just doesn't work here.
What's the point of that?
I don't know. It just came in the car.
Okay.
Everywhere else.
But yeah, so what I said is that instead of having that, why not have an Android tablet? That way you can fully customize it to what you want, and you can have weather and traffic in Timmins. And the GPS.
You have Spotify.
That's what I did in my car. Is I just put my phone. I had a thing on my windshield. I put my phone there, and it's kind of like that screen, a little bit smaller. It's my phone, but you could just take a tablet, right?
Yeah.
Newer tablets have LTE, 4G technology.
Yeah. So as long as you got a connection, you're good to go. Yeah, where I got stuck, we lost connection too there, but.
And we found out too today that the Hyundai Sonata 2015 is going to be the first car to have an actual Android tablet built in.
Yeah, built into the
dash.
The dash there, so you can connect your phone and use most of the apps on your phone just directly onto it. You connect it either. I don't know if it is Bluetooth, but you can definitely do it with the USB there, and then. You can basically like Spotify or whatever, listen to your music on it, which is pretty cool. I know iPhone has it with some cars too. I forget which cars it is, but
I forget too. I would still go with Android.
Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy that maybe at some point now you'll be buying a car based on what smartphone, what your preference for smartphone is. So you're buying this $20 to $60,000-$70,000 thing. Based on your fucking phone. You'll see a lot of people because when you have an iPhone, you have this whole set of stuff that you can use it with, and then we have different ecosystems, I guess they call them, with the Android or whatever.
I don't know, I kind of still like the old school way, just putting my phone on the dash, having one device. Calls come in, it works, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's slowly going away, I guess. The old school. Even in the car we drove was 2014 Dart, and even the speedometer was digital. It looked like
it was a screen.
It was a screen. I had a digital speedometer on my Cadillac, but it was just a number. You could see the number go up. So this is a screen that looks like a speedometer. Basically if you were playing a video game.
All stuff that's going to break a month after the warranty is over.
The crazy thing I find about that is that we have these crazy electronics that are still rocking fucking gasoline engines, like, you know, like you think, well, I guess we're starting now getting like fully electric cars, electric all-wheel drive, electric motor, like, moving away from like that. Well, obviously there's always going to be mechanical moving parts, but all right. So I don't know if you ever heard of it. I hadn't until this came up, but the Timmins Film Festival. I guess they find
Film Society.
films. Holy fuck, Timmins Film Society. All right, I'll let you explain it since you know a little bit more about it.
So the Timmins Film Society has existed since 1992. They did
Oh
take
shit, we got the Wikipedia here.
they did take a 3-year break recently, and they came back this year. Basically, the premise is they bring in films, usually independent films, to Timmins. Films that usually wouldn't be played in our theater here, yeah, so they put on.
Yeah, you were just having fun, I guess.
Nobody's here. That's my fridge, I think. I don't know if you guys heard that. Anyways, Timmins Film Society puts on one movie every month for the last 5 months. They're taking a break for the summer now, but they will be back in September. We actually went to go see Rosewater. I was put on by the Film Society yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. Did you?
Yeah, it's a good movie. So it's directed by and written by Jon Stewart. From, I don't know if you've ever seen The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Pretty funny and actually pretty informative. He's retiring soon. Anyways, and it's based on the memoir of Mazir Bahari. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He was Iranian born and moved to Canada to go to school, and so he became Canadian citizen, so like dual citizenship. So I guess you call that what, Iranian Canadian. Became a reported for Newsweek and stuff, and he went down to cover the 2009 election in Iran. Now, I guess I don't know how much you want to say because it's kind of like a spoiler kind of thing. I don't know. The election went. Well, I guess it's not a spoiler. You could find out this. The election, the incumbent won the election. There was widespread belief that the election was fixed, and at least in the West, our media would say that they're kind of a dictatorship masked as a democracy, which some people might say that we shouldn't be talking about stuff like that. But anyways, so this guy gets put in prison and like tortured in Iranian prison. And it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. I mean, this election sparked mass protests, which resulted in violence and shootings and whatnot. And he caught it on tape, and so that's what happened. And that's not necessarily the reason he got arrested. So I guess you'll just have to watch the movie.
Yeah, it's a good. To me, it was a good look at how we take stuff for granted, like our freedom of expression, and like our ability to record stuff and just sit here and talk about shit on our podcasts, and I guess that the people that are against Bill 51, including myself, are kind of scared that stuff like that will infringe on our rights and maybe make criminals of people that have unsavory attitudes towards the government. Anyways, I don't know. I don't really want to talk much more about this movie because it's a movie, and I'd rather you guys watch it.
How many thumbs up? How many stars would you give it?
I give it a good solid 4. I would have liked
4
a little
out
bit
of
of
5?
backstory. Yeah,
Okay.
4 stars. I would have liked to have like a little bit more of a backstory or whatever, but I get that it was an independent movie and it was more about like his situation and all that. How about you?
Give it a 4.2.
4.2. Holy shit, that's pretty specific there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I kind of mentioned that you know, maybe here in the West we shouldn't be acting too high and mighty on these kinds of situations, and we actually got a reminder of that. I don't know if it was last week or the week before that, when Omar Kadar was released from prison here, and finally let see, like, I don't know where he moved, but like he moved to Canada now, or like he's in Canada and he's on bail now, whatever, on probation. So if you guys don't know who he is, he was, I think he's Canadian born. He's a Muslim, and he was Canadian Afghani, right? So his one of his parents or both of his parents were from Afghanistan. So at 15, like, accounts differ on this, whether he was like taken by his dad or like went willingly, but like he was 15 years old and he went to Afghanistan and got taught he blew up like an IED, what was it called, improvised explosive device. I don't know if he either killed or injured an American soldier and more people, and was brought to Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is like the U.S.'s like super secret prisoner.
Pretty sure people know like one
prison. Well, yeah, but like I guess it's not super secret, but it's like we're like, and it's been, I think it's come out now that like torture's gone down there and everything, like so he had a Canadian passport and everything, and our government wasn't really keen on helping him out or anything. Like, a lot of people think that, you know, well, actually I think according to like international war rules of war, like, he was a child soldier and you couldn't actually try him like as a terrorist in a fucking prison like Guantanamo. But the American government obviously doesn't give a fuck about international law, in my opinion anyways. I mean, we've seen the Iraq war and whatever else they decide to do, drone striking people. But for me, the real sad thing was that our government, I feel like our government failed the kid. He was 15, like, and even if, to me, like, even if he was a full-on soldier, like, I don't know how it can be a war crime to fight against, like, he was partly Afghani too, right? So if he was fighting for his own country, I don't understand, like, how you can try him for, like, war crimes when Guantanamo Bay itself is a war crime.
I don't really know that much about this Omar Kadar case there. I didn't really follow it much. I mean, I guess he's a Canadian citizen, so the government would have had some role to play. But didn't they get him transferred to Canada a while ago? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, like, I don't know how
they released him from Canadian prison recently.
Yeah, but he spent like maybe 1 year in Canadian prison and like 8 in Guantanamo Bay or something like that. Like, we definitely could have done a little bit more. As although it's kind of hard to negotiate with the United States as well.
Well, and also somebody that blew up a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right, like.
But yeah. But to me, like, it's a, like, you know.
Wait, because he's 15, he's innocent?
Yeah.
And
No, I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying, like, he's a Canadian citizen, and that, well, I don't think anyone should have, like, be put through Guantanamo Bay. Like we can condemn the people that tortured this guy in Iran, but because the United States are doing it, it's okay. Like.
Were they trying to get information out of him? Were they, like, or were they just torturing him just for the sake of torturing him?
Well, I don't think they really tell you what goes down in Guantanamo.
Well,
like, there's rules in the United States where they can keep you, like, as long as you want, and like, maybe like, they can keep you
as long as you want.
They can keep you. Sorry, it's as long as they think, as the
they have probable.
The war operation is, you know, when it comes to terrorism, it's as long as like the war goes on, and some of these wars like aren't really like defined.
I don't know. My understanding of it is as long as they have reason to believe that you might be involved in terrorist activities, or you might be of the mindset to go.
Okay, so like my understanding is that they think that you might, if they think that yeah, like that you might join again or whatever. But like it's really like
Vague.
it's pretty broad, like especially considering like now we don't have like wars like World War II or whatever, where like, you know, you get the unconditional surrender of a country. We're just kind of like running operations in countries, in like across countries, and like we don't have like a full-on war declaration or anything like that, right? Like,
Just still a declaration.
like
of
we're
war.
bombing Syria right now. We're not at war with Syria.
Yeah, we are.
We're bombing. No.
Well, we're at war with the Islamic
Islamic
State, which extends.
But there's no
Syria.
like I guess our mandate is to weaken the Islamic State. Like it's not like we want unconditional surrender or something like that. But there's no like concrete like
measures on
measure for how you win. And even if there are, like we've said, we won. Let's say, well, not we, the Americans or whatever, won the Iraq War, and guess what? We're back in war in Iraq for the third time in like 30 years or something like that. Like it's kind of like an ongoing thing with this Middle East thing. Oh man, okay. Oh, whatever. We don't have to talk about this much longer. But I saw this. I forget what the fuck was his name. It was like Chuck something Peglin or something. I don't. Sorry, just don't. I didn't say a name there. But this newspaper article, it came out and it was like the title was something like "Time to like saying that America wasn't imperialist enough in the Middle East" or something like that, and that one of the candidates for presidency should take that on and say like, because. And say like, okay, we're just gonna be the strong man, and we're gonna fucking take care of the Middle East and rule it by force or whatever, because we took out all the great dictators that we used to deal with, or we didn't take them out, but they were taken out. So now there's no like now if you, let's say you wanted to call like who's one of the guys that got taken out?
Saddam.
Yeah. So now let's say you want to figure out like, all right, there's problems going on in the area. There's no one guy to call or whatever. So they're saying the United States should just fuck it, basically take it over, and then they'd have peace in the Middle East. I thought it was pretty funny. They were just like kind of ripping on like the candidates for not taking that position so far in the election. Like obviously it's some crazy like right wing guy, but I was like, holy crap, this is intense.
First of all, that's pretty much
like that's the strategy, you know, like it's just that I guess it's kind of like more broken and like.
But unless he's just saying that they should be honest about what they're doing.
Yeah, it's sort of like yeah. So like I think we're actually starting to see like shedding of like the pretense now. Like you're kind of starting to see like when you watch like Bill Maher and stuff now, they talk about like America as an empire and stuff, and you're kind of starting to see that like they're starting to accept the fact that America is treating itself as an empire more than like.
Yeah. Well, if it's like I think that behind the scenes they've accepted it a while ago.
Yeah.
But I think that they've just what the media shows.
Yeah, well, the general population is starting to kind of see that and a lot of them still like believe that it's America's right and duty to manage the world. And like
the thing is, like, you know, you can have an empire or a powerful nation and not be at war all the time, right? You don't have to impose your quote unquote superiority with guns and tanks. Like, look at what China's a fairly powerful nation. They don't, like, I'm not saying like they have a bad human rights record and whatever, but what they do, they develop roads in countries in their region and infrastructure. They don't go in there and try to run the country. They just go there to help them and run roads.
And then that way they gain influence.
They gain influence. They're partners with that country.
Yeah. Well, I think the Border, that book that you lent me that I was reading, he kind of talks about that, and he's kind of like, to him a lot of it hinged on September 11th, and to him, like, after September 11th, the U.S. just kind of went down that path and basically said, like, you know what, we have building bigger military, and there's quotes from George Bush saying, like, we're not going to let anyone get near us as a military, and we're going to, and like, basically they, like you said, they call it that the Bush doctrine, where they can just decide, like they had decided basically to go into Iraq way before this whole thing with weapons of mass destruction came up. Allegedly, okay, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is like this guy's opinion or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's some like discussion like that would point to that, like, discussions that happened in 2003 or whatever. But now, like, I mean, that's allegedly, but still in practice, you can see that the United States skirts international law, right? I'll go back to the Iraq War often.
But they're not the only country that does that.
Yeah, but they're the ringleader, right? Like the UN explicitly said, like, there's no reason to go in there. There's no weapons of mass destruction, and they just went and did their own thing and whatever. Like, if if another country, like, let's say Iran, because we're not close to Iran,
I don't think they're part of the United Nations, so.
Okay, but it doesn't, like, let's say Iran decided, hey, we're going to invade Iraq, we're going to topple Saddam Hussein, and, you know, we're going to put in our own government, well, allegedly put in a puppet government or whatever, then probably the United States would be crying out and saying, like, well, this is a massive war crime, like, they would be going maybe to the UN or just to themselves because they have their own courts and everything. And, like, these guys, like, the leader of whoever commanded the assault would be on trial. Like, there's still a lot of people in like human rights circles and stuff that say George Bush and Colin Powell and all them should be tried for war crimes, but they won't be because they're Americans, right? Like,
they might be eventually, but
and you could say the same thing for Obama and droning countries they're not at war with and killing civilians.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we hear a lot about what the U.S. does because we're right next to them. I'm sure there's other countries, like, some of the stuff that goes on in the Middle East that we don't hear about, the wars between Israel and Palestine. Even in Asia, like, there's a lot of stuff like that goes on too.
But
it's not in our media, right? So we don't really know.
There's no country though that can, or that will at least.
Well, Russia went into Ukraine.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Russia went into Ukraine. Where? Is it Iraq? I don't know. Never mind. I won't get onto that because I don't know. It was just a country that the United States had like 10,000 troops stationed in or whatever, and then we like say, oh, well, Russia's got troops in Ukraine. But anyways, there's no country that could launch an attack or that could like dictate things as much as the United States because of because of their military superiority with the aircraft carriers and.
China would give them a run for their money.
Yeah. I think
China could do that.
Like biding their time.
China could do that. They choose not to. I think, anyways. That's my opinion. But I think if China wanted to impose a dictatorship or a government, a democracy, whatever, somewhere, I think they have the full power to do it. I don't think that's what's stopping them from doing it. I just think that it's not in their best interest.
Yeah. Well, yeah, China's kind of like I guess, to me, I feel like because of the way, like okay, they're democratically elected, they say, or whatever, but well, they call themselves a republic, right, or whatever.
Well,
but they have. They
you'd have to go live there to see what the reality is, right? Because you can't rely on what's on TV.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, like whatever. Past that, they seem to have more of like a, and this is just like from what I see too, and like the media I'm exposed to, they seem to have more of a long game plan.
They're an old country, right?
Yeah.
They're
like fucking like 3,000 years old or something. So they always seem to be thinking, like here in Canada and the United States and stuff, with a lot of our politics is based on like getting elected or and you can have such a sudden shift of like a sudden like direction shift from one election to another, right? Like we could see potentially someone come in, or like in Alberta, right? Like now you could potentially see someone in Alberta that's not like super oil hungry, like, and change like a huge, like it's not a military thing, but you can change courses. But from what I see in China and even somewhat in Russia, like they have like a little bit of a longer game, a longer plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. They're older countries. We're the new continent, right? So we're kind of getting still settled. I mean, look at Canada. We're tiny population, huge land mass. The district, I found this out this week or last week, but since last podcast, the district we live in, the district of Cochrane, is larger in land mass than England. If you look at the population,
to what, like 120,000 in England, 90,000?
Only that?
Or million, sorry. 120 million or 90 million in all of England?
Well, the UK. England would be smaller a little bit.
Like, I know London has like almost the population of Canada in the city of London.
Figure that out. And this is a district we're talking about, in a province, in a country.
Yeah. Probably the biggest district in the province, or one of them anyways, if you're looking at the north.
Maybe northwest.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Well, down south it's counties.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So.
Yeah, like even when you look at elections and stuff, like we have like a crazy piece of land per district.
Because of the opposite of density.
So like I guess you're right. Like we're a young country, and it's kind of different trying to I heard something about like the G8, which is like the 8 biggest economies, I guess, in the world, or like the 8 most influential economies. Well, we're kind of excluding or Russia and China are in there, right?
I don't know about China.
Well, they should be.
Well, now
they're gonna pass the U.S. as the biggest economy in the world.
Yeah, but I mean. Yeah, but like the G8 is an older thing, right? So that's why they have to.
What I was gonna say though is that out of all the countries in the G8,
well, the G7 now, formerly the G8.
Oh, okay. Out of all these countries, Canada is the only one that was never an empire. That's if you count the U.S. as an empire or whatever.
Japan.
Japan. The Emperor, World War II. They pretty much like.
Okay. 7 of the 7 top-ranked advanced economies with the largest GDP with the highest national wealth: United States, Japan, Germany, France, UK, Italy, and Canada.
Italy,
Rome, not Italy.
Well, whatever. Like it's still like you could say that the
France.
France was an empire. They came here. I don't know, and I think Mussolini's whole plan was to restore.
How come Russia's not on there for China? Wealth per capita. Okay, yeah, that makes sense for China, right? Because they have so many people, so per capita.
Yeah. Also, like, there's still kind of a divide, like, other than the UN, like the between the West and like. Yeah, this was probably established like Cold War times or near.
No, national wealth.
China should be there. Who was the 8th one that got booted?
Germany, Japan, United States.
Well, anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool fact. I mean, technically, I guess the United States never had like an emperor or whatever, a king, but they treat themselves as an empire, right? Like,
G6.
luck of G6. Anyway, I don't know. I don't even know what we were talking about anymore, but you got anything else on that one?
Russia is suspended.
Russia's suspended from it. That's probably part of the sanctions and stuff against them, eh?
Yeah, probably.
Which is another one. I mean, like Russia, China. Well, like China has documented human rights violations, and there's some pretty fucking bad shit, like with like discrimination in Russia too. But I mean, there's bad shit with discrimination in the United States. You see fucking black people getting shot by cops and all this. But anyway, so it's another one, like you say, about you gotta watch the media you're looking at, and like, because they'll spin stories whatever way really benefits them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of that kind of stuff, let's talk a little bit about free trade. So, there's pros and cons to free trade, right?
Well, define it first.
Free trade?
Well, just like, yeah, I mean, maybe not everyone knows like what we're talking about here.
You know, free trade.
I'll be right back. Go on. I'm listening.
Want to grab me a beer while you're up there?
Yeah.
Alright, free trade is pretty much just when two countries or a group of countries make an agreement together to be able to trade across borders without trade goods across border without duty and with certain provisions. So basically, there's a free trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States that was signed in the early 90s. It's called NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which pretty much allows to fast track trade across the borders. I mean, that's pretty much what free trade is. Now, there's the benefits to free trade is that when we bring in goods from the States, we don't have to pay taxes on it. We don't have to.
Okay, that's benefits to free trade with the United States, right? Like,
With the United States, we don't have to pay taxes on it. We don't have to, like, trade can go through the border at a faster pace. There's less holdups because of free trade, because of the regulations.
yeah, so we kind of naturalized, so meaning like you kind of
Well, that's the
closer to rate. Well, in a lot of free trade agreements, like let's say like the cars and all that, like cars.
But when
quite
you
a
say
different.
natural,
Like
naturalized, like you're kind of implying that the countries are losing sovereignty.
well, I believe that in free trade you do lose some sovereignty. Anyway.
Well, like I mean, I'm sure, like it's not like an opening up of borders, though. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like the laws between the United. Like there's still a whole huge law book for Canada and a whole huge law book in the United States. This is like a few provisions.
Yeah, which could override domestic laws. And what was it? In T-TIP? Is that the one with Europe?
I'm not sure.
There's a report came out that the EU it's a trade deal between Canada, United States, and European nations, I believe, and maybe some other North American nations. I'm not sure. But there's reports, anyways, that the EU was lobbied by I'm not sure if it was American companies or American government about certain policies that they had based for pesticide use. The United States don't have regulations on specific pesticides. They want to be able to sell them in Europe, and so Europe had like this whole like licensing, or actually they might have even banning whatever they were doing, like this
the
research.
type of pesticide, they were banning it.
Yeah. So but for this to pass the United States, for like the free trade agreement to pass, the United States wanted that gone and wanted to be able to sell the pesticides. So that would override domestic policy.
Okay. And why is that banned in Europe? Is it because
Probably.
the lack of testing, or is it because they know that it's bad?
Well, I think I don't know that it was banned in Europe. That's something they were doing research to test it. Like, because I don't know, like the United States, like let's say like Monsanto for an example, right? There's a lot of products that are tested even in Canada. One of them being, I don't know, one of them being like a hormone that they give to cows that we're not allowed in Canada, and like you've seen them like make cows sick and all that they're allowed in the States and they're not allowed to use in Canada.
Yeah, they're very lax on regulation in the States.
So they're just, because pesticides, like we're finding out all kinds of things, like they could be bad for humans, they're bad for like the bee populations, they're bad for animals. So they're trying to regulate this, and then because the United States is more open in their laws, they're kind of imposing their laws, which means that Europe would be losing a little bit of its sovereignty to it.
No, because they can refuse the free trade agreement. So they're not losing sovereignty. They're just that's like making a deal.
But they're getting closer to American laws, right? Like,
yeah, but at the same time, Europe could be like, okay, well, we want this provision in there, and then like, because if you look at it, who's going to benefit more from that free trade agreement? With Europe, it's going to be pretty close between the United States and Europe. If you look at but I'm telling you, like exports and imports. If anything, Europe is going to export more to the United States than America is going to export to Europe.
Why?
Because cars.
Because cars, Americans make cars.
Yeah, but they're crap a lot of the time.
It doesn't stop them from selling the rest of
Yeah,
it.
anyways, I think there's going to be more European cars going to. We could look it up, anyways, what the exports are between Europe, exports and imports. But anyways, it's going to be a pretty close deal. Like, it's going to be imports vs exports. It's going to be pretty close because the size of the economy is similar.
Okay. But you're not proving me wrong that you're naturalizing, you're getting closer to rules with other countries.
But that could happen by multiple means.
Okay, but I'm just saying that free trade could lead to that. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
And so maybe in a
that could be
situation,
positive
maybe
too.
in a situation like Europe and America where they have the same economy, but let's say with Canada, the U.S. would probably have way more negotiating power than Canada would.
No. The U.S. imports a lot from Canada. We're the U.S.'s #1 importer. We actually the U.S.
So you're
imports
saying
the
the
most.
American government has no influence because they're a superpower and we're not,
No.
have no influence on
Not
decision making.
Not in this situation, because we have the wood, we have the lumber, we have.
Which I hear we got screwed on anyways. The softwood lumber deal, Canada got screwed on it.
Can you let me fucking finish? We have a lot of shit that they want. The oil, the wood, like, there's a lot of stuff. That gives us negotiating power at the table. Yes, they have a bigger economy. We need them to import that shit too. But we can also export that elsewhere if need be. We haven't been doing it.
Harper
really.
tried and it hasn't been working very well for him though.
Harper, I don't think he's really tried. I think the Liberal government was trying to do it before he was in power. I think he kind of had other priorities, personally. Okay. I'm not saying free trade is the best thing ever, but I'm saying if it's negotiated right, it could be to the advantage of everyone.
But what I'm asking is it like, if I'm negotiating with someone and they have, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I guess obviously the U.S. wouldn't use their military on us, but like just being the superpower in the world would give them more negotiating power than like having
No.
more trees than.
Only if you let them. Only if you think that way. Like, we have Europe backing us too. England, anyways, and France.
Well, on most things, England's closer with the United States nowadays, so.
I think if it came down to it, if America started bombing Canada, hypothetically speaking, China would be here, England would be here, France would be here,
Yeah.
Russia would definitely fucking be here. Like,
You think so?
oh yeah, man.
I know they don't like Russia, but they don't like US, but they don't like us either.
They like us more than they like the U.S.
Like, I don't think anyone's itching to poke a fight with the United States. Oh, wouldn't that be a
What
fucking
about-
scenario? Wouldn't that be a fucking scenario? Military invasion of Canada. and the
We
US.
fought them off before.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's weird.
It's not always
That's
strength in
weird.
numbers either.
How did that happen? I guess they didn't have the resolve when they tried to take Canada. Like, how did the United States beat Britain and take over the entire United States
But
and
they
then
couldn't
lose the
come to
War
Canada.
of 1812 against the same British army?
Better preparation, strategic planning. I don't think, I know that it's an argument and realist thinkers would be on your side, but I don't think that just because they have guns that means that when it comes to negotiating free trade agreements, they're
Well, I
gonna
don't
step
think it's
up.
that. Like, they have their biggest economy in the world coming up. China's coming up on them, but they have the biggest economy.
They're like 3 trillion.
Everyone's in fucking debt.
Not that much. You know how much money they owe to China? It's just China. They're not the biggest economy. They're in debt.
Okay, we're just barely out of debt right now. Basically, every economy in the world is in debt.
Yeah,
the whole world runs on debt.
Yeah, okay, but there's
And
debt.
we're still basing
There's debt, and then there's debt.
all of our money on American currency.
So
Like, they're still the power at the moment. I don't think that they will be forever
what does that have to do
Empires
with
crumble.
negotiating free trade?
because they're like I don't know.
What are they gonna do?
Most
What are they gonna do? Like, let's say we say, oh, we don't want to, like, let's take Europe for example. We don't want to take this provision. We don't want to do that. What are they gonna do? We don't want to. We're gonna test these pesticides before we allow them.
Well, why
What's
wouldn't
the-
they do that if
what's-
they weren't scared of
Because
repercussions?
they want the free trade deal to pass. They have an
Exactly.
interest in the free trade deal.
Okay.
There's something that's
Okay.
going to benefit them
Find
and
me
their
something.
national interest.
Find me something that they got the U.S. to change their mind on, and I'll believe you.
You don't think that Europe as a whole would contend as a close power to the United States?
Not particularly.
You
I
watch
think they would
too much
fragment
American
join.
television.
I think they would fragment. I think they would fragment because you already see a few, especially, and maybe Europe continentally, but Britain itself has some pretty close ties with the United States.
Europe and its allies and its colonies and
What colonies?
what do you mean? Africa is a bunch of freaking
They're
European
not-
colonies.
They're sovereign nations now. Then you're calling Canada a colony?
Yes.
We're not a colony anymore. We're a
Well,
sovereign
we're
nation.
still the Queen's still on our money.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But a lot of African countries they were either colonized by Belgium, by France, by England. Australia is colonized.
The United States was colonized by Britain.
You don't think that
Fuck
there's
does it matter?
allegiances that lie there? You don't,
I don't
think
think
history
it matters.
matters?
The United States was a British colony.
Yeah, but they fought back and revolted.
So did a lot of British colonies.
Okay, but there's still a lot that didn't. I don't know. To me, if you think that you're going into the table and you're gonna have to succumb to it because they're stronger than you, then if you go in with that mindset, that's like going to a car dealership and saying, oh, well, he has a bunch of cars, so he has the upper hand negotiating.
But you can't argue that the United States has clout. Like, that the United States has influence in the world.
So does Canada.
nowhere near as much as the United States. We have a veto on the Security Council. Do we have like we're not like the empire?
The world, the IMF, the UN, the World Bank are all institutions created by America for America.
And
they call them.
They fucking they don't even follow them anyways. They don't care.
Not anymore.
They're a rogue nation, basically.
But, like, I don't know, like, I don't think, like, if you go to Europe, it's nothing like America. It's just nothing like America.
Like the Middle East is nothing like America. It doesn't mean they don't feel American influence.
Okay, but if you say that, then we're European influence max. We do freaking tea. We everything we learned. It was from Europe. We came from Europe.
Well, there's a bit from the U.S. We got the car culture and stuff from the United States. Europe was even slow to catch up on cars. But
we have world influence. The freaking telephone, man.
Telephone, yeah.
There would be no telephones to tell you.
I wonder, so if you went to Europe and asked them what nationality, like what country the telephone was invented, I wonder...
They would know.
Would they think it was like a European nation? Or
no, I'm pretty sure they would know. If you go to the United States, they'd have no idea.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Well, that's one thing actually in the movie last night, like, I think they only mentioned Canada like once. This guy was Canadian, and they mentioned the Canadian embassy like once.
Yeah.
Okay, it was an American movie. I get it. Like,
definitely an American movie.
But yeah, I don't know. All I was trying to say was that you do kind of bring laws, some laws closer to other countries when you're
sure. But that happens. Like we have a British Parliament, right? So our laws are based on British common law, and in Quebec.
Well, our head of state
what is it? The droit. What's the Quebec law system?
Like our head of state is still
exactly. So
Queen Elizabeth.
Like American power is power is in the eye of the beholder. No matter what.
Well, I think it'd be nice if power, if I guess I'm just like a hippie.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they that they just hold so much power over the world, and still it has to be like military power, as opposed to like.
Okay. Well.
I just think that sucks. Like.
Well, okay. Can I put it to you this way? What power does America have over you?
Over me?
Over you as a person. Like what does America change in your everyday life?
Probably what car I'll buy. Likely what I'm gonna watch on TV after the podcast.
Okay, can you not watch TV?
Sure.
Yeah, see, that's your choice. It's not America.
I never said I don't know why why you're saying I'm like.
Well, I'm asking you.
Influence me.
Because,
I'm just saying
I'm just trying to point out that it's all relative. That's what the point I'm trying to make. It's like if Canada goes up to the negotiating table with the U.S. thinking, "Oh, we're gonna get screwed," or they're a powerful nation, then you're gonna get screwed. If you go into the negotiating table as equals, and you act as an equal, and you present yourself as an equal,
then you can just ignore it, you know.
It's psychological. It's just like there was a study done once, and I'm relating this loosely, but it's a study because there's apparently a myth or a saying that women are bad at math. So they took two groups of women, put them in separate rooms, and had them do a math test. But the only difference was that one group of women, they told them before the test, they said, good luck, you'll do great. The other group of women, they said, oh, did you hear that women are bad at math? And they just laughed. The group that was told that women were bad at math did very poorly. The group that got the encouragement did much better.
Okay, so the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes. So
but there's still a bigger economy. There's still a bigger global presence. There's still like.
So what are they?
There's still.
Think about what they're realistically going to do. There's nothing they can. They're going to sanction us. We'll sanction them right back. It hurts them just as much.
I don't know. I don't think it hurts them just as much.
What do you mean? We're the largest importer. We start sending goods there. Like.
Are you sure it's not China?
No, it's us. And that's recent too.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, there's still a risk that we lose some control over our own laws when negotiating with the United States.
Yeah,
they still have the choice.
You gotta be vigilant. You gotta be vigilant.
And like, especially like when they're, I guess, like, all right, so NORAD, that still happens. Like, we still have like a general
tracking Santa.
Do we still have like any kind of control in that operation?
Yeah.
Like, I know at one point, I know I used before it was like an American general, and then like the deputy, I guess they call him or whatever, was Canadian. Still like that?
I'm not sure the exact organizational structure, but I'm sure that it's still similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, once I finish the book, I want to look into more of that, because they were talking about like, because like in Afghanistan we actually had Canadian soldiers under American command.
Vice versa.
Yeah, which is like the first time. But they were, after that they were talking about like not merging the armies, but like having like
joint operations,
training. But the thing with that to me would be like, let's say America goes into another war we don't want to follow. Like, you just gotta watch out. Like,
yeah. Like, that's, to me, like, through my studies and everything, retaining sovereignty was always like one of the top things that I was concerned about. Like, don't get me wrong, free trade has to be negotiated right. You can't just like, you can't just run it through, not look at it properly. It has to be done right. But if it's done right, I think it can be beneficial to all parties involved. And I think that that's the case for any negotiation in any life situation.
So you don't think that like made in Canada provisions would do any good, like saying like giving incentives to Canadian companies to build stuff instead of opening up free trade to other countries? Just because that's another thing I've heard about free trade is that a lot of times like you take down the ability to do stuff like that because you can't be infringing on other
free trade.
Or what about like environmental
yeah, exactly. Okay,
concerns?
I can address the environmental one, and maybe that'll give me time to think about the other one. But environmental, I think.
So let me just ask the question, because I know we talk about this all the time, but they might not know. So like what I'm thinking is like, if let's say we have free trade agreements with companies like, or with countries like the United States, like or any other country that might have companies that drill for oil or whatever, and the free trade agreements kind of sometimes talk about like we can't infringe their ability to make profit or whatever on our shores, like in our country. So that could directly conflict with environmental policy that we're either trying to put in as a sovereign nation or as part of like a broader agreement like Kyoto was, or what's going to happen in Copenhagen or Paris or whatever the fuck the next one is.
Okay. So what I think about that is that there could be provisions in free trade agreements that deal with environmental concerns. There's also the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which, if respected and if enforced properly through a proper international court, would make sure that free trade agreements are environmentally sound.
Okay, so you're saying that as far like I'm sure there'll be social issues and other things like that, but there should be like environmental, social. There should be issues that take precedence over allowing free trade across the map.
Well, I think that in a free trade agreement there should be a section on climate change and the environment, and it should be addressed with the regulations, like let's say. And I think it should be, yeah, exactly. Like it should just say like, we could either have climate change targets, or we will not sell it. We will not purchase any dirty oil from each other, kind of thing.
So this would be somewhere where Canada could be at the table and saying like, we don't want to fucking sign that because we got the tar sands and we want to sell the tar sands.
Exactly. So it's possible that would happen, but it probably would be for the better in that case. So, like, in a free trade agreement, my belief is that there has to be social and environmental issues have to be addressed. You have to address. You got to make sure you got to look out for yourself when you're signing a free trade agreement. You have to make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to screw you over. But I think that that's stuff that can be negotiated, even with the United States.
Okay. What about like unforeseen problems? Like the climate thing was just at the forefront when we started with NAFTA and our free trade agreements with the United States, and we didn't know everything, and whatever, we made the free trade, and we made that pretty much take precedence over the environmental stuff.
Well, you can push to have an amendment to the free trade agreement. That can be difficult, but it can be done.
All right. So now the two new ones are coming out. There's TPP, which is a Trans-Pacific Partnership, and TTIP, which is, I don't know, but that's the one that with Europe and all that, right? That's the one with the European Union and all that shit. Now, from what I've seen, and I know like I follow a lot of leftists, I guess they call them, like environmentalists, and from what I've seen, big business and more specifically big oil allegedly is having like influence over these negotiations, which I guess would be the point of it, right? Because you're trying to get companies working together. But what do you think about like the influence that corporations can put onto these agreements that we're having, like an American company influencing agreements that could have repercussions in like Belgium or something, right?
Well, I think that this is a kind of thing that everybody should have an input on, whether it's a company, whether it's an individual, whether it's Joe Blow in Canada or it's Joe Blow Belgium, and I gotta give it to, I don't know to which extent they check this and they consider this, but the government of Canada, in this case, on their website, is probing people to give their feedback on these agreements. And that's one of the things that I gotta give the benefit of the doubt to this government for. And if there's...
But we're not seeing commercials about it.
Yeah, you are.
About the free trade agreement?
Yeah, I've seen some. I've seen a couple.
I haven't seen any. I've seen about how hyper balanced the budget. I've seen about how Trudeau is too young unexperienced. I haven't seen anything that said anything about a free trade agreement that would benefit my life. A free trade agreement with the Pacific or with the European Union. So they actually have this on commercial saying, like, go to the website and let us know what you think about it.
I believe so, yeah. I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a commercial. But anyways, it depends. Obviously, having that up and checking it isn't, or not the same, one and the same, right? You know, having it up is one thing, checking it and actually taking the feedback is another. But yeah, I think that corporations do have a role to play there, but I think that the ultimate decision comes down to the government. And the government has to look at it after they have the final say. They'll review it. They'll see if it's beneficial to the people. And if it is, they'll pass it.
Like in a utopia.
In an ideal world.
Yeah. Okay. Alright.
Well, we're at 55 minutes. What else do we have on here? Banks?
Oh shit, yeah, banks can fine. Yeah, you know a bit more about this than you think, eh?
Not really, I just know a bunch of banks got fined.
So a bunch of UK, US banks, there's the US-UK relationship again, are being fined for fixing the international markets. So again, we're talking about finance across different countries or whatever. So basically, I read a little bit about this before we came on. They had some people like on chat services with each other from different banks, deciding when to sell and when to buy and all that, basically manipulating markets, fucking around with people's investments or whatever, people, like regular people trying to invest in the stock market, I guess even other banks or mutual funds. So they're kind of manipulating global markets across like 6 banks in 2 different countries, or probably more than 2 different countries. And so 6 of them got caught and are being fined by, I don't know who that would be, I guess the monetary fund, the IMF or something.
Probably the International Criminal Court, or the ICJ, the International Court of Justice.
So anyway, and the biggest one, I forget which bank it is, but they're getting fined like 2.5 billion or something.
I think total is 6 billion or something, 6.7 or something.
I'd like to know where the money goes, first of all. I guess that'd be my first question. Like, you can find that much money. Like, are you
yeah, that's a
just
good
going
point,
with that
man.
money?
Yeah, maybe we'll have to look into that.
Like, I don't know, maybe like a relief fund for hurricanes and stuff. I doubt it, but that'd be nice.
For
Or like,
future economic crisis.
yeah. For the next time, we have to give the banks more money.
We're forcing them to invest in their savings.
Like,
Shouldn't have to tell banks that.
yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
Me?
Yeah.
I think. Now you got me thinking because I want to know where the money goes. But the fact that they're getting nailed a little bit is good. I don't know what the scope of $6 billion is for a bank.
Okay. Well, the
For multiple
2.5.
banks.
The 2.5 billion, that was one bank. That was the highest for any bank, and it was like 3% of like their yearly revenue or something.
So what would be like 1,000 out of like a $35,000?
Well, let's say it's 2.5 billion, right? So if that's 3%, like let's say it's 3 billion.
No, but like, what's 1,000 as a percentage of 35,000? $350 or 3,500?
I don't know. 10% of 35,000 would be 3,500, right? You just minus 0. 10% of 35,000 is 3,500.
Yeah, what's 3%?
I don't know, do the math. You got your phone there?
Trying to
Or
find
your pocket calculator?
Trying to find a calculator. So 35,000 divided
I don't know why you took 35,000 there.
3%. Look at the average income of somebody. See what kind of fine that would be.
So it'd be what? Would you like finding someone $11,000?
3% of 35,000 isn't fucking divided by
Times 0.03.
times. Oh yeah, you're right.
0.03.
Times 0.03. Yeah, so it's like $1,000 fine. That's pretty. That's pretty significant.
I guess, but I mean, like the bank's whole job is to make money and have money, and then when they're in trouble, we just give them money anyway. So, but like
The government gives people money too sometimes.
like to me, like okay, I guess it's a good step. It's better than just letting them get away with it. But you get like, what were we watching? Like you see someone go to jail for like a parking ticket, and these guys are fucking around with like billions of dollars and.
Well, what if they don't pay their fines? Then
if the bank doesn't pay their fee, yeah, but that's the thing, that the bank's responsible, right? Not the individual. That's the one thing that irks me.
well, then that's a systematic problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's,
But yeah, like, I mean,
and I think it would be the same with the corporations.
yeah, exactly. If that's yeah, and that's why people incorporate.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to have the what do you call
Responsibility.
it? The responsibility of actually having. Yeah. So like one of the banks fired a few people from what I saw, but yeah, no criminal charges. So like I think that kind of sucks. But like I guess it's good to see them
Start doing something. White collar crime, people. White collar crime.
Yeah, well, it's stupid, the kind of things you can get thrown in jail for, and then like millions. Yeah, you can probably get thrown in jail for like stealing $500 from someone's pocket or something, and then like.
I don't think so. It'd have to be like 5,000 plus.
5,000 plus, and still okay, 5,000 plus.
That's over 5,000.
But you're manipulating world markets, and yeah, okay, your bank gets fined. You still got to keep your job. You probably get a bonus next year anyways because your boss knew about it. And like. I don't know. To me, it's kind of fun.
That's yeah, okay. You're like that's your version of it though. Like who like the
Bankers get bonuses? What? I saw it. One bank fire people. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, but
what I
meant
get a bonus next year?
What I meant was that the boss might not have known about it. They might.
But he was happy with the profit they were making, or she.
I don't know. I don't work there. I can't form an informed opinion on that.
Alright. I'm still going to go ahead and get their bonuses next year.
We'll see.
You got a nice little slap on the wrist for the bank. And then
well, I mean, to me, like it's a good start though. I mean, it's better than not doing anything at all. And I'm pretty sure some stuff happened to some of the people in the States right after the crisis. A lot of banks shut down.
After 2008. Yeah, some of the banks shut down. A lot of them got bailed too, which I guess, like, I know what you're saying, like, you're saving people's money, whatever, it's like the bailout. That's why this thing where they're, like, literally gambling with people's money and just fucking around with people's money. And then, like, okay, so your employer gets a fine. Okay, what do you...
I guess.
There's my cynical point of view. Alright, so there's been a lot of like crappy stuff happening in Timmins. I'm sure you've heard all about it, so we won't really touch on it too much, but we do kind of have a funny story and something that went down this week.
Yeah, so Saturday afternoon, my bike comes down from Madison. We just wanted to do something. It was a beautiful day out. We wanted to be outside. Decided, we're gonna go karting. We're gonna go to Riverside, go karts. We get there. We're in a bright red truck, huge truck. Park the truck. Go check, see if it's open. It says it's open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Nobody there. Kind of walk around, kind of see like if anybody's there. If there's a car there, whatever. Nobody there. So 10 minutes later, like, okay, well, I guess this is closed. We'll have to find something else to do. Get in the truck, turn around, Go to get out of the gate. It's locked. It was bolted. Like a padlock, a huge friggin' chain. There's no other way out of this place. So, my buddy says, let's call the police.
Call the cops, man.
Call the cops. Call the cops. We wait. They said they're gonna come. They come like half an hour later. And we wait some more. And then the owner finally comes to unlock the chain. So, just want to say thank you to the owner for coming back. Thank you for the police for contacting the owner.
Timmins Police or
Timmins
OPP?
Police. So, thank you. And we'll end on that note. Thanks a lot for watching.
Hope you're not too depressed about world affairs. Peace.
The world is not so bad. Peace.